Discover the top 3 mistakes to avoid when going plant-based in 2025 by preventing these common pitfalls that can sabotage your plant-based lifestyle. Let's uncover the hidden obstacles that can hinder you and learn how to overcome these challenges and build a sustainable, fulfilling lifestyle that supports your overall well-being. Hi, I'm Blaze, and I help men and women to crush it in a plant-based lifestyle by keeping it simple with plant-based foods. In today's video, we're talking about the 3 mistakes to avoid when going plant-based in 2025. The first mistake to avoid is the all or nothing approach when attempting to go into a plant-based lifestyle. And what this means is that you go all in to, say, a plant-based lifestyle and you never did one before, and you kind of just go all in without doing any homework, research, or anything. And because this type of change is so drastic that most people go into shock and they will not end up pulling through. Lucky if you make it past 30 days, yet alone a week, without doing the proper research and homework prior to going plant-based. I recommend at least 30 days before you even plan something as huge as a diet. Because if you think about it, most people are eating 3 times in a day, right? The breakfast, lunch, and dinner routine. So if you realize that making such a drastic change in your diet without preparing prior can lead to nutrient deficiencies. And the way I see it is that you can take the faster route than I did on my path, because there is some of the mistakes that I did in the beginning, and you can avoid some of the mistakes that I made along my journey just by listening to this video. And just realize that challenges will always come your way. No matter what you do in life, challenges always come. So we want to look at taking on a plant-based lifestyle as a challenge and not a problem. Remove the word problem from your dictionary and start replacing the word problem with challenges. Challenge is a much better word than problem, in my opinion, because a lot of people like to take on challenges and don't want to deal with problems. So when going plant-based, you want to feel fulfilled, satisfied, and not deprived when you're going into that type of lifestyle. And you can feel this way with the right foods and the right plan and strategy. You can definitely crush it in 2025 while feeling amazing taking on such a challenge. Leave a comment down below and let me know, what is your biggest fear when going plant-based, or if you already are plant-based. Let me know if you have any fears at all when going plant-based long-term, because a lot of people think like the whole long-term thing, like, oh, how am I going to get my protein, and will I be skinny and malnutritioned, right? This is like some of the common stigmas when it comes to plant-based and being vegan, which it could happen if you don't know what you're doing, just with anything else, right? You could have any type of diet in the world and be malnutritioned. So it just depends on the person and the type of education that you're learning. So make sure you're doing your homework and look up a lot of the cool foods that they have that are all plant-based too. There's some absolutely wonderful choices these days that will absolutely blow your mind when it comes to plant-based delicious foods. Mistake number 2 is not knowing the types of foods that you're going to need to get the nutrients, vitamins, minerals, omega-3s. You need to understand and learn about healthy plant-based foods. You can keep it real simple. So if you're not educated in some of the foods that can give you the basic nutrients and minerals that you need to run efficiently, day by day, week by week, month by month, eventually year by year, what can end up happening is that a lot of people can end up feeling deprived. And you don't want to feel that way when you're going into a plant-based lifestyle. You want to be sure that you're eating enough foods to quench your hunger. Because a lot of people think when you go vegan or plant-based that you're just eating salads all the time, which is actually quite funny, because that's far from the truth in many cases. Like, yes, salads is in your diet for people who enjoy salads, but a lot of the foods that say that I eat a ton of cashews, mac nuts, coconuts. That's probably more of my diet than the salads, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I eat salads too. But there's almost like this stigma when you go vegan or plant-based that, you know, you're depriving yourself and you're just eating salads all the time, which is kind of funny actually, because that's the type of people who don't do their research, who don't do their homework, and don't understand how you can actually crush it on a plant-based lifestyle by eating some of the best foods that you have ever ate in your life. I know in my case, this is true. So it didn't start that way like right off the start for me. It took some time, but I did my research and I was constantly looking at different types of foods, like what would be my options. Because when I did that shift in my life where I wanted to completely change from where I was in the past, which was unhappy, unhealthy, and quite depressed, honestly, and I had to get out of that state. So thankfully at that time, I honestly started to do some prayers to just help guide me to get me out of the place that I was at that time. So as I started to pray and set the intention to better my life, things started to align for me slowly but surely. And naturally, I've always been into health, fitness, nutrition, and all of this stuff from since I was a teenager. But I never took it seriously until about 8 years ago, is where I started to take my nutrition, my health, overall well-being seriously. And when I did this, things started to shift somewhat slowly in the beginning, and then it kind of picked up real quick, and now it's in high gear. So if I did it, so can you. If you're looking to go plant-based in 2025 or whenever it is, if you want to improve your health or maybe heal some health problems that you might be dealing with, because a lot of the foods that people are eating these days are very acidic. And if you haven't seen that video that I made where I talk about acidic and alkaline foods, then I'll leave a link to that video above and down in the description box below. Check out that video because it will really help you if you're wanting to change certain aspects of your diet, or if you're looking for a complete overhaul and a life change like how I did in the beginning of my journey, which has brought out some amazing results for me now, all these years later. So you have to make sure that you're eating a lot of fresh foods when you go plant-based. You want to be eating constantly fresh food as much as possible. These types of foods are jam-packed with all the nutrients, protein, calories that you will ever need. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, guys. It's quite simple. You're mainly going to be eating fresh, organic, whole foods majority of the time. If you can do this, you will be healthier than 90% of people out there. And then when you add exercise into the mix, such as simple walking, swimming, you can hit the gym if you want. You got plant-based nutrition with exercise, boom. Now we're talking. Now you're going to have the rocket fuel to definitely get shredded, cut, lean, whatever you're going after, healthy. When you add good nutrition with exercise and low amounts of stress also, you can't be like stressing out the whole time because that's going to ruin the whole thing. And then a good type of community, healthy relationships and all this, oh man, that is a recipe for success. So make sure that you avoid mistake number 2 by educating yourself prior to going into a plant-based lifestyle, by just learning about some of the simple foods that you already like too. This is what you want to do, is get a pen and paper, write down a list. You can write down 10 of the best foods that you like that are plant-based. You know, maybe I like ginger, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, apples, peaches, tofu, tempeh, eggplant, broccoli, cauliflower, whatever it is. You want to write down a list of 10 of the best foods that you absolutely love to eat. And then when you have this list of at least 10, I would probably make 20 foods, honestly, but you can start with 10. 10 is a good amount to just start off with. You want to start sourcing these foods organically now. So do you have to go to Whole Foods, maybe a health food store, or a farmer's market even? Check out your local farmer's market because they got some of the best goodies that I've seen. Some of these local farmers, man, they grow some premium food, I'm telling you. And if not, check Facebook Marketplace, because that is a great resource that will definitely help you in your local area. Because a lot of people who grow food, a lot of times they have too much food. So they'll post it on Facebook Marketplace and you can buy pounds of it if you want, peaches, pears, apples. Make sure you're looking on Facebook Marketplace and checking out the foods on there. And then what you can do is, I would buy food in bulk. If you're going to buy it on Facebook Marketplace from someone, what you can do is like, okay, instead of buying 5 oranges or whatever it is, I'm going to buy 15, 20 oranges and I'll get a wholesale price. This is one of the best strategies to do. I do it all the time because a lot of people want to sell wholesale because they don't want to hold 50 pounds of oranges or apples or pears. They want to get it out because a lot of times their trees they keep giving more. So they're constantly like, harvesting fruit off of their trees. I know that's how it is with me. I got a couple orange trees and when they got tons of oranges. So the point is, get a wholesale price if you can. If say they're selling some type of awesome fruit that you like and it's $5 a pound or something like that, which is kind of high actually. Some people sell them at those prices. Then what you can do is be like, hey, I'll buy 20 pounds from you at $3 a pound, something like that, This type of strategy works a lot, especially if you're going to buy in bulk. So try that out. That'll definitely help you out, especially if you're somewhat on a budget going plant-based. And if not, you can get some amazing deals on Facebook Marketplace. So check it out, and I hope that helps you. Check out local co-ops too. A lot of places got local co-ops and stuff. So sometimes if you can talk with farmers in your area and just talk with them, go check them out at the farm, see what they're growing, or ask them what kind of foods they grow, because a lot of farmers grow some cool foods, man. They'll hook you up too. Sometimes you can buy a whole box of veggies and fruits and everything for like a wholesale price. So try and see if that can possibly help you also. And mistake number 3 to avoid when going plant-based in 2025 is the lack of meal planning. When you go plant-based, I highly suggest that you start planning out your week somewhat prior. So it doesn't have to be super strict or crazy, okay? You can just do like a real basic, like, okay, I'm gonna make a big batch of plant-based chili or something. And this will last me a couple days throughout the week, 2 or 3 days, and you can spread that out. What I do also, sometimes I make fresh fruit juice, right? So I'll make a ton one time, like a gallon or something. And then that can last me throughout the entire week, right? You don't need to drink it every day, but be like, oh, I want to drink some orange juice today or something, tangerine juice, whatever, apple juice. You want to be making fresh juices often. Dilute it somewhat with water, because a lot of people is like, oh, it's going to be too sugary or whatever. Throw in a little bit of water in there and it'll be perfect. I do this all the time with my teas and my fresh fruit juices. When I make teas, I usually make them concentrated, and I'll make a big batch, like a gallon of tea one time from the herbs in my garden. So I'll make them super concentrated, and then I'll make about a gallon worth. And what I do is I will dilute the tea, say 1-to-1, right? So like 50% tea, and then the other 50% of my jar, I'll just fill it up with water. So I'll do a 1-to-1 ratio with my concentrated teas. And this is awesome because I end up getting about 2 gallons of tea out of the 1 gallon concentrate. So this works like a charm. You can do this with fruit juices also. When you make a fruit juice, you can just do 50-50 if you like, actually. I do this with orange juice all the time and it works perfect. So you can do this with apple juice, pear juice, peach juice, whatever juice you're going to make, grape juice. Watermelon juice is awesome. So make sure you are planning out some of your meals throughout the week. You don't have to plan out every single thing, but you want to be making somewhat big batches of certain foods, okay? Because if you like chili or something, make a big batch of plant-based chili, which is awesome, by the way. I always enjoyed eating chili growing up. So being able to eat it like plant-based now is amazing, honestly. Because what it comes down to is a lot of it is the spices that you're adding into the beans and stuff, with some veggies that you can throw in there. So again, if you're making, say, like a salad, right? You want to be balancing your greens with maybe your nuts and seeds, and then some of the whole grains. Maybe you're making wild rice, brown rice, quinoa, amaranth. Some people like soy. You're going to be eating like tofu, right? And pro tip, if you're going to be eating soy, such as like tofu and stuff, make sure you're getting it organically. Make sure it's organic tofu, because soy is one of the most sprayed foods out there, next with corn. Corn and soy is heavily sprayed with Roundup, or glycosulfate as they call it. So if you're just eating, regular tofu, like who knows if that thing is sprayed or not. And even the organic ones, honestly, it's just so hard to tell these days. But if you can get good, trusted, quality sourced organic tofu, then definitely go for that, because you can chop that up into squares and do like stir fries with veggies and stuff with the tofu. Hit that with some soy sauce and ginger and you're good to go. So make sure you're doing some type of meal planning. Doesn't have to be super crazy. It can be just quite simple, like what 2 big dishes can I make today? Or 1 big dish that I can make today that can last me a couple days. And then if you have time that same day, maybe you can make 2 big dishes that you can kind of space out throughout the week. If you can do that, then this will truly help you when you're first starting off on a plant-based lifestyle, because you will not feel like you're being deprived. You feel like, oh, I can eat these kind of bigger, heavier meals and it settles my tummy, right? Because it'll keep you full for a few hours. And this is what you want if you're first starting out. Especially if you're coming from maybe a heavier carnivore diet, then you want to be eating a little bit of the heavier plant-based foods. And my recommendation is leaning towards like the nuts and the seeds, along with the whole grains, which can help to fill your tummy, right? Along with the veggies, man. You got to throw the veggies in there and the fruits, because if you're not adding those and you're just eating like nuts and whole grains, you're not going to do as well as you could when you add in the greens. You need the alkaline greens in there with the fruits. Once you add that with the herbs, man, talk about rocket fuel. You're going to be launching to the moon with ease. So the 3 mistakes to avoid when you're going plant-based is, number 1, the all or nothing approach. Avoid going into a plant-based lifestyle all of a sudden without doing any type of research prior to going into it. You need to know at least some of the basics so that you can have a solid foundation when you first start. The second mistake to avoid is not having a basic education on plant-based foods. What type of plant-based foods are you going to need to make sure that you are getting the right nutrients and minerals and protein in your diet? Again, this is not rocket science. You just want to be looking at a list of all plant-based foods and picking out the ones that you actually like. Pick at least 20 of the plant-based foods that you like. This will give you more variety. If not, make sure you have a minimum of 10 on your list. And the third mistake to avoid is a lack of meal planning. So make sure you are planning some of your meals out throughout the week. It can be very simple. Just keep it simple and you will do good. This is how I do it, and it works like a charm for me. So if it works for me, this can definitely work for you also. Write down all the foods that you absolutely love, the types of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, everything, and source those foods organically through the places I mentioned earlier. If you want to learn more important tips and strategies that win when it comes to living a plant-based lifestyle, then watch this video right here, where I share with you why not telling anyone you're doing a plant-based diet in 2025 is of the utmost importance when you are first starting off. This will help you to avoid many of the mistakes and pitfalls that many people go through when going on a plant-based diet, so that you can avoid those mistakes and pitfalls. Watch this video right here, and I will see you over there.